Hey, this is kind of just a little direction video on how to do the plot diagram and conflict chart for the Three Little Pigs. So first of all, find the actual document of the Three Little Pigs. Don't go by memory because there are a lot of different versions of fairy tales. So you're going to be specifically using the one that says 1904 version, 1922, so this document right here. And you actually need to read it, because even if you remember it from when you were little or from a Disney version or something, this one could be a little different. So first step, read the Three Little Pigs. You could do voices if you like. The second step is you want to look at the conflicts in the Three Little Pigs. So you're going to go to the conflict chart, and if you can't remember the specific types of conflict down at the bottom, if it's internal, you only have one internal, you only have one self, so it's individual versus self, and then you just write internal right here, individual versus self right here. These are things like guilt or worry or things that happen in your mind. That's internal. Anything else that happens would be individual versus individual, nature, society, technology, or supernatural. So just to be clear, even though these are pigs, you're not talking about nature. These are kind of individuals. It's called anthropomorphism, fancy word, for basically saying when animals act like people. So don't put a bunch of individual versus nature just if it's a pig and a wolf. These are still considered like people-ish animals, so you go for individual. So anyway, for your conflict chart, you're going to briefly describe what happens, and it needs to be a conflict. So if you wrote like, the pigs are happy with each other, this is not a conflict. So you have to look for actual problems. Conflict just means problem. And once you figure out the problem, you want to think, does it happen in their minds? Is it something they don't say out loud but you as the reader know? In that case, it would be internal. If it's something that happens outside of their mind, then it's external. And then break it down to the more specific types. Down here at the bottom, after you finish the chart, you're going to talk about which of the conflicts is the central conflict, what's the main problem throughout the entire story. And then you're going to look at this thing called parallel episodes, which is pretty high level, but you're going to have some notes attached to this assignment that are kind of blue. It's a PDF, and if you kind of review the plot and scroll down through it, there's a section on parallel episodes, which will help you a lot. So, first things first, read the story. Don't go by memory. Second thing, look for the conflicts, and then that will kind of help you determine your climax too. And then the third thing is you're going to create a plot diagram for the Three Little Pigs. If you are feeling unsure, then figure out the climax first and show your teacher, and then if the climax is right, everything else tends to fall into place. And you can type on this, but make sure you don't submit it until you're pretty certain that you're correct. So that's kind of how to do this. If you get stuck, ask for help. Please don't try this until you've done the partly cloudy and checked your work with the key. And definitely don't do this until you've completed notes. So notes and examples, talk to your teacher, then partly cloudy, then Three Little Pigs. Because after Three Little Pigs, it's going to get a lot more tough. You're going to be reading a much longer story with more internal and external conflicts. So have some fun reading the story, play with it, and see what you can figure out.